What's good, guys? Welcome back to another video on 8 count. In today's video we're going to be taking a look at the Blachowicz versus Alexander Rakic fight. It should be a really fun one. I've just uploaded my reaction to Canelo Alvarez against Dimitri Bivol, so if that's something you might be interested in, be sure to go check that out on the channel. If you enjoyed today's video, please leave a like, comment down below, let me know who you think's going to win between Blachowicz and Alexander Rakic, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the upcoming content. I'm going to be bringing out a couple of different things. I think I want to make a couple gaming videos, not necessarily playing, but talking about some of the upcoming combat sports games as well. So yeah, let's just get straight into today's video. Yeah, man, I really like this main event between Blachowicz and Alexander Rakic. I think for Blachowicz, you know, coming off the loss to Glover Teixeira, he was the champ, and I think he's got a lot to prove. You know, is he still at the level he was? I think he looked a bit gun shy in the Glover fight, and I think he's got a lot to prove still. I still think he's got the qualities which should get him back to another title fight against Glover if you know, if you can put everything together. But on the other hand, he's got Alexander Rakic, a much younger, much more hungry contender coming in. And for me, I think out of the two, Rakic is probably the most skilled overall. I think Rakic on the feet, he's a very smart fighter. Gives you kind of shades of some of the other great strikers in the UFC of, you know, he doesn't rush things and he doesn't take unnecessary risks, which makes him a really hard fight for anybody in the UFC light heavyweight division. I think for me, Rakic is probably going to be, you know, I know it's kind of a pick-em right now, but for me, I would be favouring him coming into this fight. I think Blachowicz, you know, he said in the Glover fight he must have left the legendary Polish power in the hotel room, but he's going to need it if he's going to pull out this victory. I think Jan can definitely hurt Rakic. It's just going to be a fact of whether Rakic is going to allow him to get into a range where he's going to be comfortable. I think Rakic is probably going to be looking to chew up the legs of Blachowicz, but he's also going to be, you know, keeping Jan at a range where Jan can't really get in and use his hands. I think Rakic's probably going to look to keep this in a kicking range. I think if they do get close, I think Rakic is probably going to be the better of the two of striking in the clinch, but I think Jan might be able to use some wrestling in this fight. I think Jan's going to have to be very patient in this fight, because I think if he gets over eager, you know, I think Rakic could really hurt him. I think you might have to see a Jan performance similar to the Adesanya fight. I think he could really do with mixing in takedowns off his strikes as well, because I think Rakic is probably the more skilled on the feet, let's say. I think Jan could probably give him problems on the ground. But yeah, my prediction for the fight, I'm going to go with Alexander Rakic to win via decision. I think he's probably... I just think he's the calmer of the two, and I know Jan's a very good fighter and he can fight strategically, but I do think Rakic can put together a game plan, stick to it, and probably edge out a decision here. I think he's probably going to win, you know, 3 to 4 of the 5 rounds. I think Jan might have a, you know, a solid round somewhere in the middle, anywhere between 2 and 4. But I think over the, you know, over the 5 rounds, I think the more consistent fighter is Rakic, so I'm going to pick him. Then we've got Ryan Spann against Cutela. I think this fight's going to be fucking crazy. I think Ryan Spann's had some really fun fights in the UFC, and Cutela is a fucking wild man. For me, you know, it's a hard one to predict, because I think it's going to be whoever can land with the cleanest shot. I don't think this fight's going to go the distance. I think it's going to be over in round 1. You know, can Ryan Spann maybe fight a different fight to what he normally does? Can he be a bit more, you know, calm? And, you know, I think with Cutela, if you go into his game plan, it's a dangerous one, because it can be 50-50. Yes, you can land your shots because he is vulnerable at times, but, you know, he can put you out as well. So for me, I think, you know, Ryan Spann's going to have to be careful. Obviously, Cutela currently not ranked. Ryan Spann ranked 13th. Doesn't have odds for this fight, which is kind of weird. I don't know what's going on there. But I'd probably pick Cutela, man. I think he's probably... I think both guys can hit pretty hard, and I think both guys are dangerous on the feet. I don't know if Ryan Spann can maybe, you know, look to maybe wrestle Cutela. I don't know if that's going to be something which he thinks about. But for me, I think I'm going to go Cutela with a first round TKO stoppage. Then we move to my favourite fight on the card, other than the main event. We got Davey Grant going up against Lewis Smolka. And for me, Davey Grant is a fighter who's extremely entertaining. I think you look at the fights with Cheeto he's had. I forgot who it was, the young contender he knocked out, I think last year. You know, he's had some really fun fights as of late. And Lewis Schmolka, you know, hasn't been as consistent as he would like to be, I think. I think probably injuries have probably played a huge part in him not being, you know, fighting as regularly as he probably would like. I think, you know, you've looked back at Schmolka over the years and he's had some really fun standout performances, and I think this fight's going to be no different. It's going to be, you know, can Schmolka get his rhythm going early? Because I think of the two, Schmolka is the better and more complete fighter. I think Davey Grant's are definitely a bit more wild than Smolka. But I think if Smolka can look to use his range and stuff like that, I think he could give Grant problems and probably get Grant to probably be a bit reckless. And I think that's where Smolka's going to have a lot of success. I'm going to pick Smolka via decision. I'd love to see a Davey Grant win, though. Bigging up one for the UK. That'd be lovely to see. But yeah, I think this is probably going to be your fight of the night. Then we move to Katlyn Chookagian. I always struggle with her surname. Against Amanda Ribas. I mean, what can we say? I think this is a fun one. I think Chookagian gets kind of underrated a bit in the women's flyweight division. I don't think there's anyone in the division currently who is on the level of Valentina Shevchenko. But what I love about Katlyn is her volume striking. I think she's really good. Amanda, I think, you know, last year probably wasn't the best year for her. Obviously, the loss to, I think it was Marina Rodriguez, you know, definitely a disappointing one for her. But I'm really interested in this fight. I think there's going to be areas where Ribas can have success, but I do worry for her with on the feet because of the fact of Chookagian's constant pressure and constant output. I think she could kind of be a bit overwhelmed in this fight, and I think the fight could just, you know, run away from her. I'm going to go with Chookagian. I think she'll probably get the win in this one. I'm not too interested in these other two fights on the main card, so I'm going to skip those. I'm not too... you know, I've probably seen these guys' fights, but, you know, there's so many fighters now in the UFC, it's kind of hard to remember everyone. Frank Camacho seems like some sort of name which I should remember for some reason, but off the top of my head, I cannot think about it. We'll move to the prelims. We've got Viviana Araujo against Andrea Lee. I love this fight, especially for a UFC prelim main fight, main event sort of thing. I think Araujo's a really fun fighter, and I definitely see her, you know, over the next sort of 2 to 3 years, pushing herself and leaping herself into a title challenge sort of spot to maybe go up against a champ. I think she's got the potential to definitely do that. And I think Andrea Lee has really started to put it together as of late. I think their striking's stuck crisp, and I think it's going to be a fun fight. I think this card probably has a lot of decisions on it, but I think it has a lot of kind of high-paced action fights, which I think is going to be a really interesting and really fun to watch on this weekend coming up. I'm going to go with Andrea Lee to win. I think Araujo is probably the better of the two, but I think Lee can probably have success on the feet and keep it going over the 3 rounds, but I feel like Araujo may struggle to keep up with the pace of KGB Lee. Then we have Michael Johnson against Alan Patrick. Man, this is an interesting fight. Last time I saw Patrick fight, it was against the young lad from Abergavenny. I forgot his name for some reason, but apologies for that. But I think Patrick was looking for a way out in that fight. And I thought what's his name? I can't think of his name, but he's a really good fighter, really good up-and-coming fighter from Abergavenny. Really close to where I live, actually. But, you know, he's been doing really well in UFC. And Patrick looked for a way out of that fight. I think Patrick was losing it. And Mason something. But, yeah. Is it Mason Jones? But, yeah, it was a great fight. Michael Johnson, I think, is one of these fighters who has put together a run in the UFC where they've shown they've got skills. They've got some brilliant wins in their careers. I mean, you look at Michael Johnson's win over Dustin Poirier. I can remember that one like it was just the other day when he's doing the money with the fingers and that smug face. You know, but since that fight, it's been really downhill for Johnson. He's got obvious skills on the feet. You know, he might have landed the hardest shot on Khabib in his career. He's got such speed in his hands and power, but he has this thing which means, well, he has this ability to kind of almost throw fights away. I think you look at his fight with the Brazilian lad. It's so hard to remember everyone in the UFC now. But if we click on Michael Johnson, actually, we might be able to find out who this guy was. But he was in a fight recently against some Brazilian lad. The guy was... I thought Michael Johnson was piecing him up on the feet. But then, here we go. Thiago Moises, that's right. And, you know, he was doing a good job in that first round. But the second round happened and he didn't look like the same sort of fighter, and he, you know, Moises was able to get that leg lock on him. Patrick, I don't think is anywhere near the level of Thiago Moises. I'm going to pick Michael Johnson to get a comeback win here. It's obviously a pick 'em. I think that's probably because of the inconsistencies of Michael Johnson. Alan Patrick, I don't think is on the level of Michael Johnson. It's whether Michael Johnson can mentally deal with I think that's probably his weakness in the sport, mentally. I think skill-wise, he's definitely got some really good skills, especially on the feet. I think maybe his grappling could be improved, but I think Michael Johnson, if he can get his head on straight, I think this is definitely a winnable fight. And considering it's a pick-em fight, I think you have to go with Michael Johnson. Man, this name is so hard to pronounce. I've seen a fight quite a few times now. I think it's Vera Yanderova against Angela Hill. For me, another pick-em fight on the card. It kind of shows the matchmaking on this card. It's very, very close fights. For me, I'm going to go with Angela Hill. I think, yes, Verna has put in some good performances. She's had some good wins, some good losses, some bad losses. Not necessarily bad losses. She's got the wins and losses. But for me, Angela Hill, I think on the feet is going to light her up. And I think if Angela can get in close range at times, I think the elbows and the knees of Angela are really going to start to pay dividends in this fight. I'm a big fan of Angela Hill. I think she hasn't really got... Well, I don't think she's got on a streak where she's really put it all together yet. And I think when she does, she'll probably propel herself into, you know, the top 5 of the division. And I think... For me, there are some fun matchups in that top 5, especially if Angela Hill can, you know, get herself into that position. I think you look at the fights with, you know, potentially a Young Jacek, a Weili Zhang. You know, I think if she won this fight, it would be a good comeback fight for Rose after the defeat to Cara Esparza. And to be honest, you didn't think Cara Esparza was going to be in the position she was, you know, a year or two ago. And you know, I think the same could be said for Angela Hill if she can put a run together. Probably not a fighter a lot of people expected to be at the top of the division, but I think if she can get a run going, she'll definitely be there within the next 2 years. Right, the other 2 fights on the card, I'm not too clued up about both guys. I've seen Nick Maximov fight a couple of times, and I think I've seen Andrei Petrosky fight a few times as well, maybe once or twice. You know, I probably have seen a lot of these guys. I watch every card, prelims and main card, so I've definitely seen a lot of them. It's just hard sometimes to remember every single fighter in the UFC because there seems to be so many now. But those are my picks. I think if you're a betting man, I like the odds on Jan Blachowicz, but for me, Rakic is just probably too much for him on the feet. I'm really looking forward to this card. I hope you guys are as well. Let me know your picks throughout the card. Obviously, I missed a couple of the fights just because I cannot remember everyone in the UFC for the life of me. But hope you guys enjoyed the weekend. Obviously, he's got some good fights in the boxing as well. We got Charlo fighting, the rematch. So yeah, I'm interested to watch that. I don't think it's on in the UK, so I'm going to have to find a way to watch it. Get a flight to America and watch it on their cable network, but no, probably stream it somewhere. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave a like if you did. Tomorrow I might bring out a video discussing the ESBC, the upcoming boxing game, which is set to release sometime between now and the rest of time, I guess. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the upcoming content. Comment down below, let me know who you think's going to win this weekend, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care of yourselves, guys. Peace out.